Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it! So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Worst the Best podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me today is my brother, Jason. As almost always, Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother.
How excited are you to talk about North Korea?
I'm always excited to talk about North Korea.
For the record, this is going out over like descrambling internet. I've got, what do you call those things, a VPN, so when this goes out, the North Korean government won't come after our channel. We should have changed like our identities and voices just to be careful.
Well, I changed my background. They're gonna looking for me in a brick warehouse somewhere, but little do they know I'm not that hidden.
Well, look at what you like. My new grand piano that I bought. What do you think of that?
It's a pretty nice home, actually. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here.
So obviously the podcasts are going well for you.
Yeah, actually, did you hear all that? Because I actually have my microphone muted. Let me just make sure I have the right microphone set up. 1 sec.
I can hear you.
Oh, it's the wrong mic. There we go. How's that mic? Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I had the webcam mic. So, all right. Anyway, so my apologies there, folks. This is the proper mic. This is the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me today is my brother, Jason. Yes, we are very excited to talk about North Korea and some of the things they can't do in North Korea. Now, I admit I'm very naive or not knowledgeable in everything regarding North Korea. It's just amazing to me that this place exists. I think it's almost like the anti-Disneyland of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a throwback way of thinking. It almost doesn't seem like it's real. This is actually how it is.
It's a real place, unfortunately. And what we're going to do today, folks, is we're going to talk about things that I would imagine the majority of the people listening to this podcast have these things in their life. So we're going to go through a list of 10 things that are completely normal in your listeners and ours everyday life, like things that we take for granted, things that we just have that North Korea doesn't have. Some of these things I didn't even consider. There are such basic rights that you and I enjoy. It didn't even occur to me that there's people in the world who don't have these things that we just take for granted. And it kind of breaks your heart a little bit for these humans. These are actual, fellow humans that live here. It's basically a country that's a prison. So as you know, Jason, North Korea is the most closed off and secretive country in the world. But we do know a little bit about it. So we're going to share some of those things today. It's obviously a different country than the rest of the world. The citizens obey peculiar laws. We're going to talk about some of those laws that they have to obey. And let's just say the disobedience of said laws is pretty extreme.
My question is do they know that they are following peculiar laws? How aware is the average citizen going, oh, I can't do this, but the rest of the world typically can?
Part of these laws are designed to keep them in the dark, literally.
But do they know that, the government thinks that I'm in the dark about this?
Wasn't there a movie called Room? Where the child was born into like a room. I've never seen it. Brie Larson. Yeah. So it's a movie I'd like to see. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet. But that would be North Korea in the sense that they're in this room or in this country, and you don't know what you're in until you're told that you're in it, right? That you're in a fishbowl until you're told that you're in a fishbowl.
What's that Jim Carrey? The Truman Show, almost.
Yeah,
in a certain way, like your whole life is manipulated. You don't know it's manipulated until you find out that your life is manipulated. But I'm not sure if you could even understand if that was uncovered to you that, the rest of the world has access to this. How would you even understand what that would be?
Well, some of the things that we're going to go over, we'll discuss a little bit of that, of course. As you know, people obviously discovered that they are in the Truman Show or they are in a room, so to speak, and escape attempts have been made. So there is some sort of knowledge. And there's underground, I would assume there's underground detractors, of course, and facilitators to get out of the country. So information is getting to the people. It's just like if you're in a jail, you might be stuck in a jail cell, but you're aware that there is a world outside the jail cell. These unfortunate citizens of North Korea, though, they're born into the prison. That's the problem, is they've never experienced the world. They're already sentenced to prison the day they're born. Hey, Paul, welcome to the show. Happy Saturday to you as well. Okay, so Jason, you've got the first one. Why don't you go over this one?
Well, when I was looking at the list, I actually did a double take on some of these. I'm like, is this really part of the list, or is this an ad? You know how they have all the ads?
Yeah.
I was like, what? So the first one is using the internet. Is this the beginning of the list? I mean, I guess I kind of knew that they might have lack of access, or their access would be limited. Yeah, could you imagine right now living in a world where you don't have access to the internet?
Well, there was a time that you and I lived that world, and it's almost hard to remember what it was like. I even had my son the other day say to me, my oldest son goes, "How did you do anything without the internet?" And it's like, well, we did, like the world did, but it is weird to think there was a time that, from airlines to travel, business, communication, it was all done on paper and phone calls at some point.
Hey, let's learn about the country New Zealand. Okay, grab out the 10-year-old encyclopedia completely
Encyclopedia
outdated.
Britannica.
Yeah, completely outdated, but that's the best we got. So that information is accurate.
Basically, Google used to be a book.
About 5 or 6 or 10 years behind.
It was always behind because it was extremely expensive, as you can imagine, to buy these yearly Encyclopedia Britannica. So it basically would update the world via a book.
Yeah, it's against the law to use the global. So this is maybe a slight difference. The global internet. Right. So the internet that they would have in North Korea is run by the government, put on government protocols and restrictions. Government will be using the internet to relay information that the government wants you to know, and everything else is completely restricted.
Some information here live from Paul, who's watched us on YouTube. Thanks, Paul. He says that internet proxy filters and trackers on North. Oh, yeah, actually, I forgot. Yeah, this is a new feature we have. So welcome everyone who's on our live stream. I bought what's this called again? StreamYard. So Jason and I are trying this out. It's a fun little new way of showing our show. So here you go, Jay. You can see the see the comments.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Internet proxy filters and trackers on in North Korea controls what can be searched, and you get reported for searching banned subjects, such as how do I get out of North Korea?
Oh man,
that's great information. Thanks, Paul. So basically, they do have, quote unquote, they would have instant messaging or emails. Like, of course, the government in North Korea would have the internet, like ways of communicating and ways of sharing, and even maybe, I don't know if social media is a thing there, but the idea is they can communicate via internet technology, but nobody from North Korea, for example, is watching our show legally. Anyway,
they even have restrictions on their phones. Even their phones, I suspect cell phones, are restricted. It'd be interesting to see, does iPhone or Samsung sell their phones to North Korea and then allow their phones to be completely dummied down in order to make the sales in a country that's completely authoritarian in this way? Like, do they have iPhones, or does North Korea make their own phones? Like, I don't know how that would work.
Good question. Yeah. Does North Korea have the iPhone? They probably have the iPhone 4.
They have iPods.
Yeah. So basically controlled internet.
No, I mean, it's absolute control.
Yeah, and that would be the biggest one. Oh, if you're new to our show, we just want to say welcome to the Worst of Best podcast. What we do is we curate a list of things that are the best of, and these are the best things that North Korea is banned from using. At the end of the episode, Jason and I, independent of each other, will pick what we think is the worst thing to be without. So we would say, what is the worst thing that we would hate to not have? So these are the best things they're deprived of. We're going to pick the worst. Okay. You can imagine they would have to control the internet, because just like you said, if they didn't control the internet, this list would almost be obsolete because the whole country would know everything that we know. Paul says, Jason, that you're spot on. Anything sold in North Korea would be blocked and filtered. So there you go.
But what I want to understand about that, though, is it's interesting that companies will still sell their products to a country that will throttle the product.
Money's king, right?
Yeah.
If North Koreans watch our telecast, want to give us like our super chats or money via PayPal, I won't stop them. I feel bad for them, but I won't stop them. Okay, Jason, this one kills me. Smiling. Everyone loves to smile, but what if, Jason, there were laws where you couldn't do it? Believe it or not, it's against the law for North Koreans to smile on July the 8th. This is the anniversary of Kim Il-sung's death. They can't smile on July 8th. They also don't smile July 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. This is probably the easiest law they can keep in North Korea.
I can just imagine everybody like in their houses smiling, feeling like they're like completely rebellious.
Well, that's just it. I guarantee you that's exactly what happens because, of course, the great dictator Kim Il-sung died July 8th. They're not allowed to smile on that day. So that's probably the one day they all smile the most when they can. You know, it's like when you're not supposed to laugh at a certain situation and you have the giggles, and then the giggles are worse because it's kind of taboo that you're not supposed to laugh.
Right. Or it's just their way of giving the North Korean government the middle finger.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see who follows that rule feeling that it's important to do, or who can
I'm sure there's some that are, what do you call it?
See through the BS and go, yeah.
So this is what happens if you break it. You could be sent to concentration camp or you can be killed. The saying goes for being loud, drinking, or having a birthday party. So whatever you do, just don't smile on July 8th.
Don't be born on July 8th or anywhere in that week. I guess it's a week of mourning.
The current leader, of course, Kim Jong-un, also initiated an 11-day mourning period for his late father. On the 10th anniversary of his death, this was done. So during this time, North Koreans were banned from laughing, drinking, and shopping or other leisure activities. 11 days of mourning. I know I feel sad on July 8th. I'm going to, you know what? In memory of Kim Il-sung, I'm going to not smile on July 8th. Let's make a note of that, Jay. Can you write that down somewhere? To honor our North Korean brethren and sisterin, that we're not going to smile on July 8th. All right, so no smiling on July 8th, Jason. What do you got next?
You're not allowed to watch TV. So watching a football game with friends, curling up for a chill night, watching Netflix. So yeah, North Korea are not allowed to watch foreign television or even listening to outside radio. So basically anything that would connect them to the real world outside of Korea, entertainment-wise, is forbidden. I can just imagine how amazing the North Korean film industry is.
There's like been some North Korean propaganda commercials and stuff that have made its way out west that I've seen. Mm-hmm. They're quite well produced and fascinating to see. There was one where it was basically showing you how great it is to be in North Korea. Things are awesome here. There's like a lady going around. Look, there's shopping. We get to shop and all this. Have you seen this video?
No, but
it's fairly recent. Look at her shopping. Look at her this.
What was that comedy movie with Seth Rogen and James Franco? They went to North Korea.
Oh, right. The Interview? I think it's called The Interview.
Yeah, The Interview. So I can envision they had the fake grocery stores that made everything look amazing.
Do they really believe when they made this film to show the rest of the world that everything's hunky-dory in North Korea? Do they believe they're fooling us? That's what I find so almost naive on their part. Okay, fine, create this propaganda video to show that North Korea is amazing. But is anyone watching this in the West, let's say, going, oh, okay, everything is fine. Do they really believe? Did they really believe?
Yeah, could you imagine making it? Like, yes. What did you do today at work, honey? Well, I completely made a fictitious commercial about how amazing our country is.
Because the people making this video are living in the very... Again, it's like being in a prison cell, and you're told by the warden to make a video about how awesome it is to be in jail, and when the video's done, you go back to your cell. Do this video or get killed, essentially, is what happened.
Having said that, I would like to see some of, say, the natural wonders of North Korea. There must be, like, beautiful locations, and is there, like, archaeology sites? It'd be interesting to see if anybody can make a video about how awesome North Korea could be or should be if the rest of the world is able to go and enjoy a trip there.
Sure. Yeah, it would be. Yeah. There's something interesting here, Jay, about the TV. I don't know if you caught this, but it's just illegal in general to own a television or radio that even has the ability to tune into anything other than official.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying about the cell phone. Does Sony make TVs?
Oh, I see.
That are sold.
I don't think, you know what?
But then they go, you can completely throttle it. We just want to sell to people that are...
They probably make their own TVs and radios. I would suspect it's probably just easier for them as a country to make the very things that prohibits you from doing. For them to purchase, let's say, a Sony product, bring it to North Korea, and then go inside of it and mangle it up to
But
resell it.
I'm wondering, does Sony throttle it for them so they can sell it to
well,
a
that's
North Korean?
duplicitous. Wouldn't that be very?
Yes,
duplicitous?
that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm wondering, like, are these companies playing along to make the buck? I don't know.
Yeah, good question. Paul, let us know. Driving. Now, this one is not really surprising. However, can you believe, Jason, that in North Korea only allows 1 in 100 people to own a vehicle?
No, I can't believe that.
That's great for traffic. Oh, yeah. I would say it's good for traffic. So only 1 about 100 people can own a vehicle. Now, if you're a woman, do you think North Koreans treat their women equally? If you're a woman and need to get somewhere, you're out of luck unless you have a male escort. Women are prohibited from driving entirely. But they can be traffic officers. They can actually be traffic officers, but they're not allowed to drive the vehicles that they patrol. So they can go in traffic and, I guess this way, that way, but they're not allowed to drive a vehicle themselves, but they can manage traffic. And there was a time even that women were banned from riding bicycles around town, but this was lifted. So there you go. Things are changing. They're now allowed to ride their
very
bicycle.
progressive.
Very progressive for uns to do that.
If the country has such limited access to vehicles, could you imagine how everything has to be organized in order for you to get groceries, go to the doctor, go to work? Your communities, everything that you do has to be within such a small geographical area. Unless they have major public transportation, but even still, that could be inconvenient for most people.
I got to say, less traffic on the road wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't mind stricter driving rules in Canada.
As long as you're not impacted.
Yeah, as long as
everybody else can be
drive.
restricted. No, I can't. I don't.
Paul brought this up in our chat again. Thank you, Paul. He says he saw a show where journalists were taken on tour buses with handlers. They were taken to fake streets with food on display.
Yeah.
Journalists can't arrive in or move around North Korea without government handlers. No free movement with the press. And that includes the internet. Not surprising. So even when journalists are coming to investigate, they're basically on a leash the whole time. This is where you'll go. This is what you'll see. Go away. All right, Jay, what's next?
We will not be surprised by this limitation. Leaving the country.
What? They don't let you leave? They don't let you leave. That's weird.
What's the threat, North Korea? Why won't you allow me to leave? You can't leave. Any travel that is outside of the country is government approved. Of course, there's been some people who have escaped somehow. If you're caught trying to leave, you will lose your life in that process. And it's a smuggling. Someone's going to smuggle you out. You're going to be paying a lot of money. For you and the smugglers, the risk is your life.
And what's crazier, of course, is that let's say you and I were in North Korea and we're like, Jason, let's get out of here. I can't do this right now. And let's say we didn't have a wife and children, so it was just us. But they would go after our other brothers or our parents. So if you and I decided to escape,
right, our family will be punished.
Our family will be punished. So that's insane. Just think about how much freedom we have. When you look at these poor people, if I decide to go to the States in a couple of weeks, which I am, I'm actually going to a concert in a couple of weeks. When I cross the border, you just went to the States to visit our brother and see some sightseeing.
Yeah.
Of course, there's border crossing, for illegal activities, for drugs and weapons and stuff, which is fine, keeps the country safe. That's the whole idea. But the point is, you traveled, you went from state to state, and there's no where's Jason? Where did he go? Is he going to come back? And nobody's knocking on my door. This is insane. If you escaped and we didn't know where you were, I could be killed for it. Congratulations, you got away, but now your family's killed because of it. Who would do that?
Yeah, I mean that restriction alone will stop 90 to put your family at risk like that would stop any idea of trying to do that.
You got to hand it to them.
They thought of everything. How can we stop people from leaving?
Yeah.
I know, kill their family or put them in a concentration camp if you leave.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah, it breaks my heart. So there are YouTube videos. Just Google I escaped North Korea. Ask Me Anything is one that's a big one on YouTube. People have escaped and they've done Q&As with these people. And so it's very interesting to watch those. And there are videos and there is stuff. And we only know about these things from people who've left the country, of course. Jay, how often do you wear jeans? Are you a jean wearer guy?
Every day. I'm wearing them right now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Don't let Kim know?
No, don't let Kim know that you're wearing jeans because fashion. We are as individuals, we wear the clothes that we wear, allows us to express ourselves. We have the freedom. This is a freedom. I know we don't think it is because we just take it for granted. We get to wear whatever we want. Some people, I wish I could tell them not to wear certain things. we have the freedom to wear whatever we want, but the North Korean president has decided that skinny jeans are out. So you can't wear skinny jeans in North Korea because they resemble the form of Western civilization, and they are thus banned because of that. If you do break this rule, Jason, you're taken to court where you must confess your crimes in writing. That is pretty bad punishment. I'd rather just talk about it than write it out. Oof. So this one isn't so bad. This one's like one you could kind of get away with. You go to jail, you write out what you did wrong in writing, but you will be released when someone brings you something appropriate to wear. If somebody brings you sweatpants, I guess, your employer will also be notified. Hey, Ryan wore jeans in public, skinny jeans. The same goes for dyed hair and piercings. They have patrols in the city that target popular youth spots to try and catch people red-handed in their crimes. So that would tell me then, Jason, there are these punk rebel youths who do gather, like we're saying, who do privately gather and say, F the government, F this noise, we're getting together. So it kind of makes me happy that there are people, obviously, that are wholly aware of their situation. They gather together, and their rebellion is wearing skinny jeans with piercings and dyeing their hair and hanging out in these youth spots. So go get them, youth. You show them. Youth Gone Wild. You got this, guys. You got this.
Just don't use the internet to communicate where you're going to gather. Right. Okay. We kind of alluded this to it earlier, but you can't talk on the phone. So how do these youth get together? I mean, do the old school flyers on like a telephone pole?
Yeah, neighborhoods, just conversation, pass it along, yeah.
Making an international phone call could get you, guess what, killed.
Oh, that's weird.
Surprised? Are we surprised? A North Korean factory chief in South Province was executed by firing squad at a stadium in front of 150,000 people.
Sorry. That's insane. This guy got killed.
Gathered at a stadium.
They were probably forced to.
In October 2007. The crime was for making international phone calls. He had 13 phones installed in the basement of his factory in order to make international calls. 6 people were killed. 34 others were injured when a stampede occurred as crowds were leaving the stadium. So not only was that person shot and killed, but people were killed leaving.
Stampeding out of what a weird event. How did they gather these people
Why
together?
did they stampede? What was the
maybe they were told it was some sort of celebration, or
is BTS, is that the South Korean band?
That's right. It was a Korean boy band that was going to perform. They told, hey, free tickets, but they bring up this guy, they shoot him on stage, and when they see the atrocity, they stampede out of here.
Maybe they stampeded when the bathroom lineups got too long.
Yeah. Crazy. That is insane. So no international phone calls. That's the biggest. I think again, like the internet, they have phones in North Korea, but they can only call in-house.
And you can imagine that those phone calls they're all
monitored. So so your neighbors with someone who hates North Korea, I would recommend don't talk on the phone how much you hate North Korea. What a fearful place to live. Okay. Now this one you wouldn't even think is as a freedom, because again, all these things we just take for granted. We just take them for granted, living in a free world that we do. Jason, you can't even choose your own professions. Look, I admit we all don't have our dream job. I don't have my dream job, but at least we have the option to quit and start another career or whatever. We have that option. When citizens in North Korea finish high school, they all have to join the military. Men stay for 10 years and women stay until they're 23. But then after the military, they're then assigned their life's work. And job assignments are not up for negotiation, and they mostly consist of farming and agriculture. Other jobs consist of street sweepers, factory workers, traffic workers, and teachers. They get 48-hour work weeks. They do have Sundays off. Once in 2016, though, the entire country, aside from the elite workforce, had to work 70 straight days due to government order and efforts to boost the economy. Wow. Can I be part of the elite force work, please? That's the job I want because I got, they have to work.
I was just going to ask, how do they choose who becomes the elite?
I don't know how that's done. The elite workforce probably, they might pick the strongest, smartest, whatever it is. Just like any other community or society, they handpick people that are bright and smart beyond whatever to help them in science factories and. Jason. So what do we got for second to last one? This one, this one killed me. I will say.
I'm a little bit fearful reading this, having no hair. I don't know what I'd be allowed or not allowed to do there.
Are bald people executed?
That's a blessing in disguise, I think. If you're in North Korea, occasionally everyone loves a new look. It's nice to change it up once in a while, right? But for North Koreans, not so much. They have exactly 20 haircuts to choose from.
28 haircuts.
Yes.
That's not a bad amount, I guess. I don't know if I could come up with 28 hairstyles. I play video games, and a lot of the video games I play have character customization screens. Like when you start your character, and they don't even give me 28 options. So hey, look, you know what? North Korea, there you go, giving us 28 options.
Yeah, they're pretty open. Women have 14 choices, and most of them are shorter, since it's customary for married women to have shorter hair. Men are not allowed hair longer than 2 inches, and spiky or dyed hair is a no-no.
So this is a good question here. Maybe anyone in our chat can answer this for Ines. The question is, hi, what is the economical situation? So is the economical situation there regulated? That some people are wealthy and others live on the street. So that's a good, I suspect, well, like even in our free countries like Canada, US, of course, the free world, unfortunately, there's the rich and there's the poor, there's the homeless. So
if you're assigned a job to be a street sweeper, and then you're assigned to be a teacher, do they make the same? Or is there an economic level amongst the careers that you're forced to work?
Yeah.
You're working in a factory versus working in a school versus working in the rice fields as a farmer. Do they all basically make the same? Or do they force an economical tier system? That's an interesting question, yeah. I'm a hairstylist. I only know how to do 28 haircuts. I've been forced to cut hair, and then you're forced to cut hair a particular way.
I don't know if your hair would be allowed.
I think as long as men are not allowed hair longer than 2 inches. So,
you're good to go.
I went the extra mile.
Last one, folks. You're not allowed to criticize or critique the way the government does things there without giving it another thought. End of story. So old North Koreans who live under Kim Jong-un's rule must swear loyalty and obedience to him, his family, and the state. Those who threaten or even insult the supreme leader or his family will be imprisoned or even executed. This goes for visitors as well. So there's an American student named Otto Warmbier who was arrested while waiting to leave North Korea as part of a guided tour group. He was arrested for stealing a billboard from his hotel room. Oh, it was a dumb move. North Korea saw this as an insult, and he was imprisoned and died after being released in a vegetative state in June 2017. Oh, boy.
Wow.
North Korea is one of the most isolated and secretive nations in the world. The next time, Jason, that you're annoyed at one might sarcastically call a first world problem, just reread this list and be thankful we're not living in North Korea. Oh, we got some information from Paul, our resident North Korean expert. Thank you, Paul, for joining the chat. We should have had Paul on the podcast. Paul said that the North Koreans make an average of 25 cents an hour. Pretty good. They get about $67 a month. So what does that even mean? It's nothing. Yeah, what does that even mean? I don't even know what you do with that. How much is food there? Is it
ratio? Like $100 here goes, we know how far $100 will go. Oh, I'm going to buy a house. Well, if everybody's making about 60, like the houses can only really range in prices. And
so he's saying in North Korea that milk is 99 cents a gallon. So to get 1 gallon of milk, you have to work 4 hours. Wow.
So the country's pretty much malnourished.
Except for their leader.
Yeah, somehow he...
How does he afford all that food? Oh, supreme leader. What a
weird way to want to be.
I think he's wholly aware of who he is. He has access to... But this way, he has access to everything they're not. He looks on the internet... He knows everything that we know. He's well aware. And he's just a modern day dictator. There's been evil dictators before, and he's just a modern day one.
But he's also born and raised in an environment that...
Yeah, you're right. Is he brainwashed from his dad? Well, maybe there's that, of course. I think he's had family members try to change the tide, and they were killed for it. He's aware enough that... Imagine if you're one of his quote-unquote cohorts or people that were in his ear, so to speak, handlers, and you said to him, hey, maybe we should not torture people for wearing jeans or making phone calls. You would be killed for suggesting that, which would indicate why does he feel so strongly about these things?
I would like to ask, why does he feel so strongly about these things? Like, what would be the actual answer?
My guess is, I'm not a doctor, of course, or psychologist or therapist or anything like that, but my guess is he's a bully with power. There are people who are sadists who like to see people suffer. He could just literally be one of those people who like to see people suffer, and he gets to be in control of a country where people are suffering under his regime. He takes pleasure in their suffering. It could be as simple as that. You and I can't fathom that, doing that to a whole, to one person, let alone millions. But that's what he does. And he basically gives a big middle finger to the world. And he wants to start wars and all that. Like, he's
all the nuclear war testing and missile testing to scare everybody.
Saber rattling and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jason, this was, again, a very fun episode. Obviously, there is numerous things that make North Korea what it is. So Jason and I are not subject matter experts, as Paul pointed out. We appreciate everyone that watched us live, but we'll go over the list really quickly. And Jason and I will pick the thing that we think would be the worst thing to be without as a North Korean citizen. So here we go. The internet, like outside of North Korea's internet, smiling on July 8th, watching TV outside of North Korean, of course, control TV, driving, leaving the country, wearing skinny jeans, making international or outside of Korea phone calls, choosing your own job, limited haircut styles, and talking smack about the government. It's fun. Jason, which one is the worst one? Which one would you say is the worst?
I think it's the number 10. The internet would have to be. Everything kind of trickles down from that. Every other thing that a person would end up pushing the government back on the government for start with the internet. If they had open access to the way the rest of the world operates.
It's kind of that's an easy pick. Yeah, the internet. Let's do a second pick. Let's see.
That was too easy.
If that wasn't on the list, which one would be the hardest one to have without? I'll go. Mine is just the fact that I couldn't leave the country overall. Like I can't get away. No matter what they do to me, I can't get away without affecting my loved ones. The only way I would ever try to escape, even if it meant my own life, because if you get killed, try to escape this place, whatever. Sweet release, right? And I bet you there's people that have been executed, Jason, I wonder, who are kind of like...
I would suspect the execution was like better than everything that led up to the execution.
Yes.
Spending 10 years in prison, being beaten, or going to a concentration camp and doing hard labor.
It's almost a mercy.
It is a mercy killing.
Worst thing for me is the inability to even leave my situation without harming my loved ones. But if I didn't have loved ones, then I would just try it anyways. And who cares if you get caught? Yeah. So, tough list.
I think I could live within the country if you had access to be able to travel and explore the country that you live in. Boy, I'm tossed between driving and jobs.
What about you, Paul? What's your pick? Or anyone else who's listening? Tell us your pick of the 9 remaining. What is? Could you imagine
being forced to do a job that you're now a rice farmer the rest of your life?
No offense to any rice farmers listening to our show, of course. But
no, I'm just saying that doesn't sound. I'm envisioning
backbreaking.
Not having the freedom to be able to move within your country, so driving and or work. Boy, there's a few here. It's hard for me to nail it down to one.
So Paul said travel restrictions. That's the one he would hate the most. Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a fun episode. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us for the first time on our actual Facebook page, because now this is out there right now, our YouTube channel. This will be edited a little bit for the actual podcast audio release, but Jason and I are going to try to go live on cam when we do these recordings. That way people can interact with us like Paul did and Ines did today, and other people jumped in and out of the episode. So join our socials. So we're on Facebook, Worst the Best. We're on Twitter, the Worst the Best Podcast. And we actually are on Discord as well, which the link will be in. And that's where I make announcements. So again, join any of those platforms so you can see when we go live and you can join the discussions. Remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today, well, it was basically the internet. See you in the next one.
Gamma Gator Productions.